This is the second video in the three-part series, Let's Transform in 2024. In the first video, we spoke about goals, identity-focused system to set those goals, and how do we emotionally connect with them to feel more closer to those goals. So now that we have a meaningful goal-setting system, the next part is to actually build routines and set systems to achieve those goals. So routines. Why do we really need them? To answer that, I would say having a solid routine gives a lot of clarity and meaning towards otherwise a complicated and a messy life. Something that I can say from my personal experiences, it does take a while to come up with a routine that actually works for us, for our lifestyle. But then, if we do have that routine, we also know that we are able to make small strides towards our goals. We are able to prioritize things in a better way, and of course pay attention to what is really important to us. And that, my friend, is actually the beauty of having that routine and feeling that positivity in life. But then again, we don't really like to do the same monotonous things day after day, right? So how do we make this process a little more interesting? So trust me when I say this, routines may not really be boring. Because at the end of the day, we are building routines for it to work for us and not work against us, right? In this video, I'm going to share 5 tips that has actually helped me to set a meaningful routine for myself. So the tip number 1 is to actually structure your day. Last year, I attended a work-related workshop wherein we discussed about identifying ourselves and our level of energies during the day, and then understand whether we are a morning lark, a night owl, or a midday bird. So basically what it means is, say if my energy levels are the highest as soon as I get up, then I would call myself a morning lark. Say for example, my energies are highest during the night, then I would call myself a night owl. So what we learned was, once we identify ourselves, then we should plan our day of work accordingly. So with that concept, if we apply that to our routines, I would say first identify yourself, and then say for example you are a morning bird, morning lark, then what you will do is the hardest or the most complicated activities and tasks that you need to achieve, you'll have to schedule time for those tasks during the day. And if you're a night owl, then say you could take 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., 2 hours or 3 hours, and then take that time to work on your next dream project. So to give you more context, let me talk about my personal experience. Now, I have divided my day into 3 major chunks. I have morning, which is about 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. Then I have my noon time, which is about 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then I have my evenings, which is 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Now, I'm a person who is super active when I get up. So what I like to do is I like to focus on all the things that I want to do for myself in the morning. So I like to do my workouts, my meditation, a little bit of reading, and then I log in for my work about 7:30, 8ish. And then in the initial 3 hours, I also complete the most important tasks that I need to do in my work as well. With this, at around 11:30ish, 12, I feel that I have accomplished a lot of things because I've done certain stuffs for myself, and I've also completed the most important tasks for the day at work as well. Now, afternoons are the time that I'm not very active, and that's when I do activities like going through my emails, planning for the next day, and basically admin tasks which requires my time but not a lot of my brain. So that's what I like to focus during the noon. Now the third section of my day is evenings, and this is when I like to wind down a bit and I like to focus on activities that doesn't require a lot of my mental capacity. So during this time, I take out time to talk to my friends, my family, connect with them, do some household related activities, meal prepping, kitchen related activities. And this is also a time when I feel my creative juices are flowing in, and that's when I take my notepad, my journal, and do some brain dump. So those are the activities that I try and do in the evenings. So my evenings are mostly relaxed, but Again, this is something that I have identified for myself, and I feel that this works pretty well for me. Now, another thing that I've noticed is with seasons and with time and the phase of life that you're in, your energies might change a bit. So, we need to create routines which can actually accommodate such changes because, again, that is also a part of our lives. So, to sum up, what I'm saying is you may divide your entire day into multiple blocks and then club activities or club similar activities together in one block. Now, depending on your personality, you may have more blocks, you may have maybe 4 or 5 blocks, but this is something that you could try. Second tip would be to start slow and simple. Now, when we start something, when we set our goals, our motivations are so high that we set goals like, okay, I'm going to work 5 days a week or 6 days a week. Now, what's most important here to understand is if you are a person who has never worked out in your life, and if you set such an expectation that you're going to work 5 days a week or 6 days a week, you'll probably do it for 3 days and then you'll just give up. And we don't want that, right? So a better approach would be initially you could start slow. Instead of directly going and hitting the gym, you could just start for 10 minutes walking, maybe brisk walking for 10 minutes a day. And then after 2 weeks, you could increase it by 15 minutes. After 2 weeks, you could again increase it to half an hour, or maybe instead of brisk walking, you could make it to running. So that's how you slowly increase the intensity of whatever you're trying. With that, of course, it's going to take more time. At the end of the year, you'll have that habit built in as your second nature. Third tip is to actually take out time for doing activities that you really love. Have you ever wondered why do we end up spending so much time on watching TV or mindlessly scrolling through Instagram? This, my friend, is because we really don't have anything better to do in our lives. I know it hits hard, but that is the truth. And of course, there are extremely smart people who have built those algorithms which makes sure that we are hooked onto that app for a very long time. Now, to break out of this, I'm going to say it's important that you start understanding yourself better and start to figure out what is it that you really want to work on. If there is something that you'd like to learn, or maybe there is something that you want to pick up as a hobby, or maybe you had a hobby when you were a child and it was lost somewhere while you were growing up. So maybe you could pick that up again and start working on it. Start with say 15 minutes or 20 minutes a day, or maybe 10 minutes a day, and eventually build that time. So over a period of time, this activity is going to become a non-negotiable task. That is, you need to do this every single day. And this is because this is either something that gives you a lot of happiness, or it takes you closer towards the person that you actually want to become. So after spending the entire day in the office, coming back and then taking out some time on a side gig or a hobby seems extremely challenging. I completely understand that. So how I like to look at this is, I like to take at least half an hour from my entire day, morning or evening, and dedicate it to do the activity that I want to do. Now for you, it could just be 15 minutes for the start, and slowly build it up to make it 1 hour. Now if you are a morning person, try and find out this time early in the morning. Or if you're a night person, then try and do it at night. Fourth on my list is to make your mundane tasks more enjoyable. So whatever makes you happy, try and incorporate them into your daily routine. Because again, a routine that we love is going to help us achieve a life that we love, right? So if I talk about my case, one of the most boring tasks for me is doing the dishes. I really don't like to do it. So what I instead do is I either switch on TV or maybe call a friend or my family, and then I talk to them while I am doing my dishes. So that way I am doing something that I really like along with something that I don't like so much. So now I know that doing dishes need not really be boring, because that's when I get to watch something interesting on TV or maybe talk to a friend or family. Similarly, another thing that you could do is maybe gamify certain aspects of your tasks which is boring. Say for example, I am a person who loves everything neat and clean. But at the same time, if I have to do it every day so that I could achieve that, that's a little extra for me. So what I like to do is I like to set up a timer of 10 minutes every day after my dinner. And this is the time that I use to clear the counter space and clear everything from kitchen and basically make it more cleaner. So now that I know there is a timer, I am in that game mode and I know that I need to complete this task in 10 minutes, otherwise I'm going to fail. So that keeps the excitement up, and at the same time I'm also able to achieve that task. And if I'm able to finish off everything in that 10 minutes, I feel accomplished. So yes, these are some ways that I try to make my boring tasks a little more interesting. Fifth tip is to stay flexible. It's important to understand that sometimes it gets really hard to stick to a routine. Life happens, and sometimes there could be a lot of interruptions because of which you are failing to stick to a routine. So what's important to understand is that's fine, that's okay, and that's how life is going to be. But what's more important is we should always be able to get back into our routine, and that becomes easy when we are not forcing ourselves into one. So in the first place, we need to create a routine that actually works for us. Like I said, start slow and simple and slowly build up your habits, your activities. And remember, we have these routines in the first place because we want to be able to get a little extra from every day that we live and get one step closer to our dream life. So those were my top tips for building a consistent routine and eventually achieving your dream life. If there is a tip that has actually worked for you, let me know in the comments below. I would love to read that. If you haven't checked my goal setting video, I would urge you to check it out. Here's the link, and it will also be linked down in the description box. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the tiny habits that is actually taking me one step closer to my dream life. So stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, and if you like the content so far, do hit that thumbs up button and share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much for watching. This is me, Athulya Nair, signing off. Ciao!